We're told we live in a golden age of awkwardness, but adjustments in social norms and roles have always resulted in awkward moments. A Life magazine contributor from 1927 bemoans, "These are awkward times, and I sympathize with the tea shop waitress who approached a customer from behind and said brightly, 'Anything more, sir? I mean, madam. I beg your pardon, sir.'" Awkwardness is essentially social. It emerges when the scripts we rely on to guide our social interactions fail us, either because they don't exist or we're unable to access or implement them. As a result, we feel awkward, uncertain, uncomfortable, self-conscious. In this respect, awkwardness is a direct consequence of our social nature. Our skill at social navigation is mirrored by our aversion to getting lost. Appreciating the significance of awkwardness means appreciating the significance of apparently mundane social encounters more generally. Throughout the book, I'll argue that we tend to underestimate the motivational force of our desires to avoid experiencing awkward feelings and to avoid being labeled as awkward. Awkwardness draws our attention to gaps in our social norms and conventions, highlighting areas of our social life that often go unnoticed. It's a kind of normative negative space. So, while awkwardness often functions to silence and suppress, it can also be a tool for moral and social progress. Recent years have seen a resurgence of interest in the negative emotions: anger, anxiety, disgust, envy. A persuasive case has been made for what Protasi calls the wisdom of negative emotion. And while it would be natural to try to apply this narrative here, true to form, awkwardness isn't a neat fit. That's partly because it's not an emotion, or so I'll argue in Chapter 2, but also because it's not clear how much wisdom it has to offer us. Instead, it's a sort of warning signal or diagnostic tool. Awkwardness is surprisingly underexamined in the scholarly literature. In his book on humiliation, William Miller remarks of the titular emotion that while it figures in the life of almost all scholars, it has itself had virtually no scholarly life. The same could well be said of awkwardness. There's a striking discrepancy between awkwardness's prominence in our culture and its absence from the academic literature.